Coming to you live from a little grass shack in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's the Junior Kekuewa Jr. Show, starring Junior Kekuewa Jr. Join Junior along with the Rainbow Hay Band as he makes any kind from Hawaii. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Junior Kekuewa Jr.
Hawaii. Okay, how's it? Welcome to the podcast. I'm Junior Kekuewa Jr. And we're going to just get this started with the attitude of gratitude, okay? Because on today's podcast, we're going to talk about manifestation and what screws it up, basically doubt and fear. But first, we're going to say mahalo and thank you to you guys. Got a lot of stats. We have a lot of stats that are really not necessary, but I can tell you that our demographics on the female side has picked up. It's interesting because it fluctuated, right? When I came out with the first relationship podcast, right? And then after that, like, boom, the lady listenership went down, okay? And then now it's back up, okay? So now we're hitting around 40%. Which is like, okay, but that's a thing that I got to talk about. We got to touch on that last podcast that we did, just a little bit. But first, we want to say thank you. We have 3 new states in the United States: Minnesota, Missouri, and Kansas. So thank you very much. No new countries. The countries remain the same. And our audience, we're noticing that we have more and more young people listening. Okay, so, and when I say young people, I mean like 18 to 25-year-olds are kind of like picking up. So we'd like to say mahalo. And that's why we keep the show clean, okay? We know that, we know that those people use that kind of language nowadays, and it's common, but we keep the show clean. And one of the reasons I keep the show clean is because I got in the habit of doing that, being on radio for years and years. Okay, so over 40 years now. 40. Yeah, I don't know. I lost track after I think 38, and I think when it turned 40 years, it was like, oh, dude, you've been doing this for too long. Yeah, but anyway, And anyway, just to kind of, if you're new to the podcast, the reason why I took that radio road was to get to the entertainment road. So I went the long way around. But boy, the experiences and people. I got an email when we did the radio stories podcast. People were going like, "Oh, tell more radio stories." That may happen. But anyway, this podcast is going to be about the law of attraction, more so. Okay. And we might get in a radio story. We might get that in. But, so we were discussing, this is a law of attraction comedy podcast. So we try to do a little comedy, and law of attraction kind of, mix in there. So on the topic of manifestation, people wonder, like, they go, oh, well, how come when I write affirmations or when, I do this stuff, like it's not working? And I'm like, okay, here's what happens with humans, okay? And this is just the subconscious and the way it works, okay? Your conscious mind and your subconscious mind have to work together. You have to get them in sync. And what I'm talking about is whatever it is from your conscious mind the thoughts that you keep thinking are going to get into your subconscious and become a program. It's going to get in your subconscious. It's going to become a program. So what is, how do you counter manifest? Well, the counter manifesting is done through doubt and fear. Okay. When you start doubting your plans, okay. So let's say, you write an affirmation. I am so happy and grateful now that I'm receiving, $500 extra this month or something like that. And like I said, also keep in mind, you have to work your way up. Okay. You have to start from the bottom. That's like everything else in life. So, you work your way up, and let's say it's $500 now. Okay. if you're like going through your days, okay, and you're thinking like, man, I don't know if I'm really gonna get you. Okay, now you're in doubt. Okay, now fear is more like being afraid of something. Now you have to also know that the root of every negative emotion it's all rooted in fear. All the negative emotions, okay, are rooted in so hesitation, procrastination. So, people that hesitate, they're fearing at the very base level. Okay, now, procrastination, hesitation, all of that. If you're hesitating, okay, identify what it is you're afraid of. You have to, become aware of, just what you're afraid of. Anyway, so, but, we're talking about, the counter manifesting part, right? People counter manifest all the time. And the best helpers that you get are well-meaning friends and family, okay? Because they will try to give you a logical, practical kind of view of stuff. And I'm here to tell you that you need to use your right brain. You need to enter on the right. So this is why Jesus sits at the right hand of the Father. Okay, this is a metaphor. Okay, so you need to take that metaphor and apply it to your life, because that creative right brain, okay, or that side where you have imagination, okay, imagination is very, very important. Einstein said that imagination will take you everywhere. Okay, and education is, I'm not doing a direct quote because I'm doing this in real time, but education is limited. There is a limited amount of education available for just about everything. It only goes so far before it starts repeating itself in various forms. Okay, and I don't know if you've gone down a rabbit hole far enough to hit the repeat cycle, but it happens. Okay. And then, and then you get to the point where things are unexplainable. Okay. And that happens for a reason. You're not supposed to be able to learn everything. Okay. Or everything about a topic. You can study something like your whole life and still, have more to study. Okay. But along the way, you get repeats, you get different versions of things. And you go, hey, wait a minute. This is just kind of like repeating itself, because you go in a circle. It's the Ouroboros. Okay, so the Ouroboros is a snake eating its tail. This is more esoteric. That's more like esoteric knowledge. But what it means is when you come full circle, you hear that expression. When you come full circle. So you start out over here, right? You go, learn. Pretty soon you hit that repeat cycle. Okay. But along the way, you still have new things to learn. So you don't run out of things to learn, but you start seeing certain things about it repeat itself. And then you go, oh, okay. And that's one indication, that you kind of know things well when you can identify the repeats. Okay. So just think about that. It's a thing. So anyway, manifestation, right? So here's what you do. So it's basically, we've kind of crunched it down into 4 pillars. And the 4 pillars that we find is really, really effective for manifestation, okay, is affirmations, meditation, visualization, and vocalization. Now, let me run it down real quick for those of you that are new. So affirmations, you have to write them out. Okay, we see a lot of, young people, and they're well-meaning young people, like well-meaning friends and family, right? But these well-meaning young people are learning, like I was learning when I was young, right? And I'm talking about young people. I'm talking about, I see people in their early 20s, okay, and they're doing this, but they're doing this, with a lot of followers, okay? Now they're very interesting people. They're charismatic people. Okay, but they have a lot of followers, and they're teaching them things to do certain things that are not really getting results. Okay, so if you want results with affirmations, okay, write it and speak it. Okay, you've heard the expression, I always mention it, speak the dream. It used to be a thing. I think it was back in the 90s. And people were saying, like, you have to speak the dream. You have to vocalize. You have to be vocal about it. Speak the dream, And, I knew this one guy that used to, because I can only tell you about my experience, but I knew this one guy that, would speak the dream. And I think his interpretation of speaking the dream was telling people about his plans, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You want to go about your way. And then when it comes together, or when it's actually active and going, then you start doing that. I used to know that this guy I think he was trying to manifest that way. So he was always, speaking the dream ahead of time to the wrong people. Now, it's not that, you have to understand that spirituality, okay, in the spirit sense. So whatever you call what's inside of you, spirit, soul, energy, all of that, okay? Whatever you call that, that's real, okay? You can, that's what's operating your hands. That's what's operating your brain. That's what's operating your legs, okay? So if we come from that perspective, okay, that God is real, that you have a spirit in you, or you are a part of that, okay, or that realm, if you want to go there, that kind of thing. Then if we say that is real, then you can also bet that they interact with each other in vibration. Okay, so everybody has a frequency and then vibration. Okay, now before I get too far out in left field, I just want to say it because, oh, here we go, Uncle. All right, so no, before I get too far out in left field, I'm going to tell you that these spirits or energies affect each other. Okay, because everything is energy. Okay, we learned that from many thought leaders over centuries. Okay, so everything is energy. Now, energies interact with each other. Okay, now here's how it works when I'm going to give you a brief example of this. So let's say, for example, and we're talking about counter manifestation. Okay, this all applies. So let's say, for example, someone is telling you their plans, but you don't wish them well. Let's say maybe it makes you envious. Maybe it makes you jealous. Maybe it makes you resentful. Maybe you just don't like them, or you don't want them to get ahead, or, all of the above. Whatever it is, whatever vibe that you're projecting in that interaction can affect that person. Okay? Because if you're on the same frequency as that person, okay, and you're on the same vibration, as you're emitting the same vibration as that person, that's energy. And that can link and affect each other. Okay. Now, when somebody is telling you a story, let's say somebody's talking to you and they're telling you a story, you are being pulled into their reality, because now you start imagining the story that they're telling. Okay. Now, if you can tell a story, right, and paint a picture in somebody's head, and this is what they call theater of the mind in radio, because radio was not visual, and you had to use certain words, and you had to choose these words correctly. At least I did. I can only come from my perspective, right, my understanding. But from what I did and my experiences, I would choose these words either in comedy or seriousness or whatever, or advertising sometimes. And I would choose the words to stimulate the correct thought. So I can't give you an example like right off. But here's the thing, right? When somebody's telling you a story, okay, and you get the picture in your mind, now you start getting pulled into their realities. You're actually interacting with them on a spiritual level, on an energetic level, on a vibrational level. Okay, now if that's too heavy for you, if that's they're like, "What, Uncle? What are you talking about?" All right, go do some homework and go see how energy affects energy, and how cells all react to each other, kind of thing. Because what you're going to find is that everything is moving, everything is energetic, everything is energy, everything is vibration, and vibrations affect each other. Okay, so let's say somebody's telling you or you're telling somebody their plans, and let's say maybe it's somebody that doesn't like you, or somebody that is like I said, is envious or whatever. When they start interjecting their vibration and their emotion and how they feel about what you're telling them, that's enough to start to pull down your dreams. Okay. That's enough to like not wish you well in a way that will affect whatever it is you're talking about. Okay. And I'm talking about like in the moment. I'm not talking about, oh, you can't shake it and it's going to go down the drain. No. But here's the thing, right? People will react in a way, okay, through body language. So body language is, you have to be really good at reading body language to understand these things. And then you get into, micro expressions and stuff. So it gets pretty, it goes deep. But here's the thing. When people start reacting through body language, it's a silent communication, okay? And that communication, if negative, sends a signal to the person's subconscious, okay? And there's an understanding there. There's an interpretation there, okay? And when that happens, okay, there is at the subconscious level, there is a reaction. Okay, so subconsciously, remember we were talking on the last podcast, we were talking about how women subconsciously get turned off by men who behave like their besties or girls, right? Other women. Okay. So we were talking about that, and it happens at the subconscious level because sometimes they're not even aware. Sometimes the women are not aware that it's going on, and they don't know why they feel like they do. Right? They don't know how come. Well, then how come I'm not attracted to my husband anymore? Why am I not attracted? Why is my desire just kind of going down the drain with my boyfriend kind of thing? Okay. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing with, telling your dreams to somebody. So speaking the dream, okay, now that you have all that information, you can go do some research and, check it out. But now speaking the dream, you just need to speak it to yourself. You need to speak it out loud, though, okay, because it involves vibration, but speak it out loud. So go in your room or wherever it is, your car, whatever, and speak that dream, okay? And it works. And it works also. One of the ways that it works is that it does send the vibration out into the universe kind of thing, into the world, okay? But the other way it works is it cements that idea into your subconscious. Okay, and we had a podcast where we were talking about the subconscious. Is it the body? Is it another state of mind? Is it another aspect of mind? So we're not going to get into that discussion, but yeah. So just remember we talked about that. If not, then go look at the podcast. Go check it out. The podcast on the subconscious mind. But so now what we want to talk about, is fear. So how do you know you're fearing? Well, some people, I just did a post on this actually, on social media, and the post was on, desensitization and how people are desensitized. Okay. And this happens slowly. It's like that frog. And I don't know if you heard about that, the frog in the pot that doesn't know he's being cooked, right? Until it's like too hot and he's like too cooked already, that kind of process. But it starts slow like that. So when you get desensitized, okay, it starts on social media. You start looking at accidents. You start looking at, whatever. I heard that they were, posting non-living people on Twitter. I haven't seen it. I'm not interested to go look for it, but I'm just saying. And if you're posting unalive people, right, it does something to people's subconscious. Okay, it instills fear. Okay, and whether you want to call it fear, whether you want to call it negativity, whatever you call it, it starts to desensitize you slowly. And pretty soon what happens? Well, you lose empathy. Pretty soon you kind of have a little disconnect with certain things that maybe, before you cared about or before you were sensitive to. Now, we're not talking sensitive as in, dude, you're so sensitive. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about your ability to feel, okay, certain things. Because it's important. Because self-awareness requires feeling. Now, I get a lot of clients and they come to me, and they're like, I don't know what's going on, this, that, and I'm flooded with anxiety and I overthink all the time and I don't know why I overthink all the time. Well, here's the thing, right? When you start desensitizing, you start losing that feeling ability and you start shifting into that overthinking mode. Let's call it a mode for lack of a better term in real time because I gotta talk this way. But here's the thing, right? You start to disconnect from certain emotions that made you feel for the other guy. Like oh man, yeah, I can identify with how you feel, right? Or yeah, show empathy for people, right? So anyway, so when you get to the desensitized part, what happens? Well, you start overlooking, certain things, and you start it doesn't faze you anymore. You become numb in a sense. Okay. And when you become numb in that sense, right, you're not your authentic self and you need to get back. Okay, so what we do is we work through the voice. That we did a podcast on that. I'm not gonna repeat the whole thing, but go look at how your voice can heal you. Okay, it's on the last podcast. We discussed it a little bit, and we want to bring it up and we want to discuss it more in little tiny bits and pieces over the podcasts and stuff, because it's important. It's important to know that your voice can heal you. Okay. And if you want to feel better, okay, a real easy way to do this, it's not really, I don't want to, we're not making any medical claims, but I want to use the term therapeutic. It's kind of sort of therapeutic, but it's not going to be the kind of stuff that we do. It's not going to be as deep and as I want to say it won't work as fast. Okay. But to just feel good, right? You just turn up the stereo in your car. You just turn up the, whatever you're listening to, your playlist, radio, whatever, your favorite song, that kind of thing, and just sing to it and sing as loud and as strong as you can. Okay. I'm not talking about yelling. Okay. That's abusing your voice. Don't do that. That's not good. But I'm talking about projection. I'm talking about expressing yourself. So self is your energy. Okay. That's yourself. That's what's coming out of me right now as I'm doing the podcast. I'm speaking. Okay, that's myself. I'm expressing myself. So you need to express yourself because you're going to find that when you express yourself, or let's say when you get used to this process, okay, and the projection, we define that as velocity. So it's expressing tone with velocity. That's what happens with it. That's when you sing strong, that's what it is. And when you do that process, a repetitive cycle of that process in the way that we do it, which is a, formatted out kind of thing. But the way that we do it, what it does is it affects all the hormones. Now, I'm not going to go over the whole thing like I did on the other podcast, but, we're talking about endorphins. We're talking about lowering cortisol levels, the fight or flight thing. We're talking about, bonding and oxytocin and those things. So, and you can look it up. Okay. Just, it's the healing properties that are the result of vocal expression. And just do a search on it and you'd be surprised what you find. Now you have, AI all over the place. You can just plug it in. The research is relatively new. I want to say that the research is probably, I can't really put my finger on how many years, but here's what they're discovering. What science is discovering is how to heal people through frequency. Okay, frequency healing is real. Okay, it's very real. Now, people, normally associate that with listening to, frequencies. So, you get those 432 hertz kind of music kind of thing on YouTube and whatever. And that's also good for manifestation because when you feel good, you magnetize things to you. When you feel good, you begin attracting who you are. Okay, now who you are, people are confused about that. Okay, wait, uncle. I attract who I am. What about that Cadillac I want? Or what about that, what about that outfit I want? Okay, so who you are when you attract who you are, you're attracting or becoming the frequency of who you are. Okay, now the vibration is what you're putting out or what you're becoming in alignment with. Okay, so let's say you're on a different frequency. You won't even see the people that you used to interact with when you were on the low frequency. I mean, you probably run into them and whatever here or there, but it's not. You're going to be in a different world. Okay, and that's a good thing about. And we're going to do a podcast about that and how you can be in the same world, okay, on Earth in the same world, but in a totally different experience, okay, and how these experiences are separate from each other, okay, and how these experiences. So if you're, let's say you level up, so to speak. That's what I call it. With my clients, I call it leveling up. But when you level up in vibration, when you level up in frequency, okay, now you're emitting a different vibration when you level up in frequency. Can you raise your frequency? Absolutely. Okay. And you raise your frequency like you tune a musical instrument, okay, through your voice. It's the fastest way. There are other ways, but that's the fastest way. I've seen miracles like in front of me. Like I call them miracles because I'm like, how did that happen? When a little 7-year-old, right? When I explain something to a 7-year-old, I can't explain too much because they don't understand that much, right? Now I can tell you that the 7-year-olds now understand way more because they're raised with tablets. Okay, so they have access to information and other 7-year-olds, so that peer thing, right? They have access. They can go watch other little kids do stuff and get inspired and know that they can do, whatever they see other people doing. So that's the true influence with the younger generation. And it's easier to talk to 7-year-olds now, but when I put the 7-year-old through my training, and I see them, like their body language shifts like in one session. Okay. And these sessions for kids are half an hour. Okay. They're short. And I see these changes, these personality change just kind of like shift. And the personality will shift a little bit. And the confidence will like happen like right in front of me. And all I do is suggest, okay, do this like here, like this. And I demonstrate it. Right. And then boom. And they change. And I'm like, wow. The amazing part is that they are consistent with that change. In other words, they keep the change. So they shift, they change, and then boom, they're just like that. And the only thing that can reverse this process, and it's the same with adults, okay, is a traumatic event. Now, trauma is that emotional, right? That emotional event that sticks out, okay, that you keep remembering and you go back to. Okay, and there's a lot of talk about a lot of these words are being used and thrown around and stuff. I have a really good friend that's a psychologist, and he's just really, I totally agree with him. And he put online one time that these people on social media and influencers and stuff are just throwing around these random words for things. Okay, so these little keywords, so to speak, right? And these words are words like trauma and narcissism, and and they're just throwing them around, and they're gaslighting, right? That's another one. But a lot of these terms are being thrown around on social media. But as we become more knowledgeable, or as we experience more of these things and understand what they actually are and what we're being subjected to, people are expressing that. They're expressing it on social media. But don't, use it in the wrong way. Be careful how you use it. And most importantly, be careful how you interpret it. So when you're reading it, okay, just understand how you're understanding it, okay? But anyway, so with the manifestation process, right? We went out to left field a little bit, but we're going to come back to the doubt and fear in the manifestation part. Okay, your voice will get you there really, really quick. Okay, because it settles you. Okay, and when you're settled, you begin to magnetize who you are. Okay, because you do have a life path. Everybody has a life path. Okay, your life path, I'm trying to think of the easiest way to explain this, but your life path is who you naturally were born to be, your natural state. Okay, so let's say you weren't taught to do anything. Okay, you weren't taught to do nothing. Okay, you weren't taught to do anything, and now you're gravitating towards who you are. Okay, and this will happen. You do not need to be quote educated end quote. Okay, that's a that's not a podcast, Alliance. Okay, but education can also be looked at in a different sense. Okay, in other words, okay, we want you to do things this way. We want you to be this way. You do this task this way, that kind of thing. And for certain tasks, yes. For certain professions, absolutely. You need to be educated in that profession. You need to be educated for that purpose or for that task or whatever it is. But you don't need to like be taught how to think about things. Okay. And you don't need to, understand anything if you're going to follow your life path. Okay, so there is, in my understanding of things and my belief, okay, I believe that God is real, and I believe that God has a plan for you. And I believe that when you discover what your purpose is, when you discover, where you fit and how you fit and, what you're going to do to fulfill this, because I see this with young people now. They know exactly who they are at a very young age. Okay, and they just pursue it. They just go with it. They just do it. Okay. And, you're going to find that when you start doing that, you start finding out who you are, and why you are. Okay. That's your why. When you find out your why, why am I here? Why am I doing what I'm doing? How does this contribute to society, or how does this contribute to, me being a valuable asset, or me being an asset, just a simple asset to society or to my community or to my family? Right. So these are all legitimate, things to ponder. Okay. Now let's get back to the manifestation part. When you can get to, let's call it neutral. Okay. But when you can get there emotionally, because, when you're going through things like desensitization, okay, when you're desensitized from things, when you've seen too many, I feel sorry for a lot of, first responders, okay? But that's their job. They go through a lot of desensitizing. They have to, okay? But I really feel sorry for them in a way, because they're subjected to more like gory things than we'll ever see. Okay, I'm talking about firemen, policemen, ambulance people. They get the tough work. I mean, yeah. It's it's a job, man. It's in more ways than one. Now, these people, really handle some very hard things, harsh things. And so, but now it's available on social media. Okay, you can see people, firing guns at each other and shooting each other and whatever. You can see all of that. Okay. And then there's the dark web. I've never been on the dark web. I've never seen it, but I've heard from people. And it's nothing I want to see. It's nothing I want to partake in, but I'm just mentioning it because it needs to be said. So when these things happen, when you start becoming desensitized, it's important that you snap out of this. It's important, and you don't really snap out. You work yourself out. And the fastest way is through your voice. Okay. Now, if you need some help with that, I will gladly help you. Okay. Go to the website. It's hereforyoulifecoaching.com. We've never gotten, and this is not a flex, okay, but I'm just saying, we've never gotten anything less than a 5-star review. You can check it out on Google. Just Google Here For You Life Coaching Honolulu, and you'll see it. Okay, but the thing that we want to call to people's attention, because it's a new field of study. It's a new field of study. It's a new thing that science is developing, okay, because they're learning more and more about it every day. How frequency heals. And it's important that we say that because we've been doing this for 34 years. Okay, I've been doing this for 34 years. And I want to say that in the beginning, like the first, I don't even know how many years. Let's call it 10 years, maybe 15 years. It was in one form. And then as I started studying, I studied a little quantum physics, basic quantum physics, just overviews, nothing really deep. Okay, but as I started studying that, as I started studying how frequency works and the changes that happens and how cells respond to frequency. Okay, I'm talking about the cells in your body. Okay, it was a rabbit hole. It was a very deep rabbit hole. And I can tell you that we depend a lot on frequency. Okay? And you're subject to frequency all the time. Okay, your body is full of frequency. Okay, you emit a certain frequency. So when you start to, let's call it, affecting your frequency, okay, you can affect it in a good way or a bad way. Now, if you're listening to, I don't know, things or frequency or music that's damaging, it can be damaging. It can be very damaging. Okay, not just to your hearing or like playing loud music kind of thing, but it can be damaging to you emotionally and desensitize you. Why is being sensitive important? It's self-awareness. So self-awareness and sensitivity go hand in hand. And when you're self-aware and when you can, be sensitive, I'm not talking about like sensitive, like, like a weak person kind of sensitive, like a weak man is sensitive, like, oh, he's sensitive. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking more about awareness, but sensitive so that you can feel someone else's pain, so you can identify with different things that other people are going through. That kind of sensitivity. So, and then self-awareness for yourself. Okay. Awareness is very important. Some people just consider themselves, these meat suits walking around on the planet, and then one day they're just not going to be here anymore. That kind of thing, right? But no, it's bigger than that. You're bigger than that. You are the miracle, okay? You're the miracle. And if it's one thing, that I always point out to my clients, it's like, do you understand how special it is to be a human being? Do you understand the power that you have as a human being? The power is inside, in here, right? I'm pointing, like I'm kind of doing this thing to myself. But yeah, over here, in here. The power is in here, not out there. Okay, when you use power, you lose power. Okay, so power is only good when you retain it. Okay, now, people that are really good in business and really, powerful people, influential people, they all understand this. They all know this. Okay, so when you use your power, you lose your power. Okay, you give it up. So it's always important to retain your power. Okay, and with manifestation, if you are, let's say, at that state of neutral, okay, so Uncle took you way out and then it will bring you back again. So when you get to that state of neutral, what happens is you begin to settle into your life purpose. You begin to relax into who you really are, okay? And you attract who you really are. And you attract all those things. Now, sometimes we start out in life wanting to do this and wanting to do that. Like I wanted to do a lot of stuff, and I did a lot of stuff because, I have this thing called ADHD, right? It's no secret. I mean, you have a conversation with me. It's like, yeah, okay, we get it. Yeah, Unc's got ADHD. But back in the day, nobody knew. See? Nobody knew what ADHD was, and and I have what they call a combined presentation. So I have both. I have both types, and so my brain needs a job, and so some nights, I end up overworking. And it's not exhausting or anything. It's what my brain loves to do. It loves to work. Give it a job, and it's happy. That kind of thing, right? And sure, but, back in the day, it was more of a curse than a blessing. And now as I get older, things kind of shift around a little bit. It's more of a blessing than a curse. But yes, it does have its downside, its negative side. But here's the thing, right? When you can slow down your overthinking, Okay. Now, if you have ADHD or anything like it, or any kind of, overthinking problem, just know that when you do the four pillars that we have, okay? So affirmations, meditation, visualization, and vocalization work to calm that, okay? And the vocalization part, right, works to calm that. And when that calms, guess what happens? It's like the floodgates open, right? And well, actually in the opposite direction towards you. Okay. And it starts bringing all of these things for you that were meant for you. So, Esther Hicks, a very prominent thought leader, thought leader, and an author. She's an author, a thought leader, all of that. She calls it, she has a term for it, and she calls it the vortex. Okay, so everything that is yours is already in your vortex. Everything is already there. Okay, but if you're kind of like, let's say in a state of doubt or fear, and that's what we're talking about, doubt and fear. If you're in that state, it's kind of like extending your arm out in front of you and going, okay, it's right there. But because I'm doubting and because I'm fearing, I'm holding it out there. I'm holding it, and I have no idea if it's at arm's length. My understanding is 8 feet. Okay. Because that's the projection of your vibration, 8 feet out from you. But yeah, it's, that's just a visual. Holding your hand out, like, how you motion to stop, right? You hold your palm out like that, yeah? So it's just at arm's length, and you're keeping everything right there. And it's not getting to you. And you're not receiving it because of this doubt. You're not receiving it because of the fear. You're holding it at bay. Okay? Now, when you stop holding it at bay, when there's no doubt and no fear, and what is the opposite of that? Well, it's just being happy. It's just, relaxing and being at ease. Okay. So there's dis-ease and there's at ease, right? So you just be at ease. And when you learn to be at ease, and some people have to learn that, okay? For some people, it's just natural. That's just who they are. They don't care. But some people have to learn that. And, from my experience, I serve professionals. The people that I work with are all professional people. And professional people have a big issue with this, okay? And it's because, part of it is because of their education, okay? And their understanding of things, or the way that they've been taught to perform processes, okay? And certain processes, you have to understand, also desensitize you. Certain processes. I'm not just talking about first responder type jobs. I'm talking about all kinds of stuff. Society in general desensitizes you. Okay. So, we're talking about a plethora of things, a lot of things, a lot of different components that desensitize you. So what's important? Well, it's important to get back to you. It's important to get on that road back to you. Because when you get on that road back to you, and you start, going, oh, wow, all I had to do was relax and be happy, and like everything came. Like all I had to, was it that simple? Because there's so many times in my life, right, where I'm trying to figure it out. I was trying to figure it out. Okay, let's figure out how to do this. No. The how is God's job, right? And that's what I learned from Mike Dooley. That's what he taught me years and years ago, And Mike Dooley always emphasized that. Hey, the how is God's job. He called it the cursed house. Okay, if you look up Mike Dooley, look him up on YouTube, and or any video platform. Really, he's out there. I think it's tut.com is his website. tut.com. Yeah, check it out. But he calls it the cursed house, and it's because people always want to figure out how. Okay, when's the last time you wrote down a plan on how you were going to do something, and it turned out exactly as you planned? Okay, well, it can, But you know what normally happens? You set out on the journey, right? And if you're not so, I want to say, methodical, you know, you get taken out over here to the left. You get taken to the right. You take a few steps and then something happens and boom, you manifest what you were after. But it happened in a totally different way, a totally unexpected way, you know, in a way that you never even dreamed. And then boom, here it is. Okay. So for me, it was a lot of stuff. It was a lot of things. You know, it was substituting on the radio for a week, and then all of a sudden, boom, popularity. You know, and I was trying to figure out how, like for years and years. Okay, I gotta figure this out. I gotta figure out who can I see that will wave the magic wand or open the magic door, give me the key to the, you know, that kind of thing, right? Who's gonna show me how to, you know, get in those doors that to the decision makers that can say, okay, you're gonna be like, no, none of that happened. It did not happen that way. Okay. And like I said before on another podcast, if the situation were such where the person that, you know, opened the door for me knew he was opening the door, he would never have opened the door. Okay? Because God does this. Okay, but you can, you know, whatever you believe, you believe. But it's something higher than yourself that does this, because this is who you are. And when you start to, you know, fall into who you are, well, in that case, in my case, I was actually playing a character. I was a voice actor. So I was a voice actor on radio. But I'm just saying that once you start fulfilling your role, or once you figure it out, and you don't have to like figure out, okay, like as in, you know, write everything down and analyze kind of. No, you don't need to figure out that way. But the way you figure out is you get to the point where you relax enough and you be still enough so you can get the message, and you will get the message. Okay. You will get the message on, you know, on what you're supposed to do and who you are and who you're supposed to be. Okay. Who you're supposed to be and who you want to be are oftentimes different. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, in my case, like I do so many different things because my brain needs a job, because I have this, you know, what people used to call a disability. You know, right now, I think it's just common. You know, people are, oh, well, he's like that, she's like this, and then he's got that other thing. And then, you know, so everybody's got a thing. Everybody's got something. Everybody's going through something. Everybody has, you know, like they say, everybody has a battle that nobody knows anything about or whatever. Everybody has one of those, okay? We're learning. We're here to learn. And that's why we're on the planet. That's why we're on Earth. And we were the lucky ones, okay? Because if you want to talk about odds, it's 1 in 400. What is it? 400. I think it's 1 in 4 billion. I think it's 1 in 4. Yeah, don't quote me on that. But I think it's 400. It's 1 in 400 billion or something like that. The chances of you being born, okay? So like everybody should really celebrate the fact that they were born. And you know, when you get to these kinds of understandings and you go down these rabbit holes and you know what I'm talking about, Hawaiians, and you just go, oh, well, I'm going to go down. And pretty soon you get tired, right? You go, hey, you know what? This rabbit hole keeps going. I think I'm done, right? But when you get so far, right? But what I'm really getting at is when you start going on that journey, when you start, you know, getting that self-improvement kind of vibe, and you kind of go, you know, through those things, and you go, okay, it's important that I improve. It's important that I get better. And really, a large part, or I want to say the majority of getting better is not an effort. Okay, it's a relaxation. It's like, oh, I just chill and God takes care of the rest. Oh, okay. Or I just chill and source takes care of it, or higher self, however you see it. It's up to you. But I'm telling you that the magic is in you. I'm telling you that you are the miracle. You are the miracle. Now, when you start to believe this, what happens is your subconscious, right? All these all these thoughts go in your subconscious. When you start believing that everything is unfolding for you instead of happening to you, life changes. Life changes in a big way. Okay? And this is why doubt and fear are the two biggest enemies of manifestation. Or we can say it another way. Okay? It's how you counter manifest. Okay? So it goes against whatever it is you're trying to do. Okay, so if you're trying to, get a brand new car and stuff, and you're writing affirmations, and you're doing your meditation, and you're doing, but then in the back of your mind, you're like, who am I kidding? I'm doing all this stuff, and then it's never gonna happen, and what? Okay, and for a while, it was happening to me on my very first brand new car. I remember that, 2008. It was happening to me, and I was like, oh man, it isn't. I don't know. And one day I was driving down, this. We have this area in Hawaii where, on Oahu in Hawaii where I am, and there's all these car dealerships. We call it Automobile Row. Because there's a whole row of these auto dealerships, right? And what happened was I was just driving down there, and I got the inspired thought, and I was watching the movie The Secret, the documentary, and it says you have to act on inspired thought because that comes from your higher self or higher power or God or however you believe, right? And I just got that feeling, and that feeling said, just go. And the dealership was right there, and I saw the dealership, and I go, yeah, let's go. And that's all I did. And the rest, as they say, is history. But that's how, that's what I did. So if you want to say, that's how I did it, then yeah, you can say that's how I did it. But I didn't figure out the how. It was just that impulse, that thought that said, okay, just go. And I just went right in. And I started a conversation, and the guy took me out to used cars first. Then, do you see anything you like? And I paused, and I was checking in with God, and God said, tell him no. And I said, no, not really. And he said, would you like to look at new cars? Okay. And then he took me in the showroom, test drive, all, whatever. Okay. The story is not important. What's important is that when you relax, when you eliminate doubt and fear, when you start being happy instead of fearful, when you start being joyful instead of, worrying, instead of those negative emotions that are rooted in fear, life will open up for you. Okay. And I know, people, see me at this chapter of my life and they go, oh yeah, uncle, that's easy for you to say, No. It works for everybody. Every single human being has this power, if you want to call it power. Okay. The true power is what's guiding us. The true power is above, figuratively above us. It's in us. Okay. But it's, we're of it. Okay. We are of it, and it, okay, depending on who you believe or how you believe, it will guide you. It's like having a GPS. It's like having a GPS, right? And when you consciously go, okay, I'm going over here to the left, the GPS has to recalibrate, right? It has to recalibrate to show you the best possible direction or whatever like that. And that's how God works. Because when you start taking baby steps towards your goal and you go over here off to the left, it has to recalibrate and go, okay, wait, give me some time. And so sometimes it takes a while, and sometimes it doesn't take very long, but things need to, be adjusted. The right people need to come into play. The right situations need to happen. And then, boom, your manifestation is there. But everyone is capable, okay? If you're not in the right frame of mind, that's another thing. You have to get in the right frame of mind. Affirmations does that. Okay, write it out. Okay, with no negative words, write it out. Okay, I am so happy and grateful now that I have my brand new, washing machine, whatever. Okay, but write it out. Okay, and as it goes into your subconscious, you begin to believe it. When you begin to believe it, okay, and you eliminate negativity, doubt, and fear, things start to happen. And I can't even tell you how many times, Hawaiians, these things happen to me. How many? Sorry, Hawaiians, I gotta go. So, anyway, Hawaiians, wait, what? Man, he just screwed up the last part of my. Hey, Jay, these guys, I tell you, okay. All right, Hawaiians, there you go, Hawaiians, okay. Anyway, that was funny. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Okay, Jay's over there laughing at me. All right. He pressed the wrong button. And anyway, hey, want to thank our sponsors, Brother Randy. Hey, Brother Randy over there at Island Club and Spa. Thank you. Also, the Voice Master family of service companies, AFMHawaiiMusic.com with Brother Darren Chinen. And yeah, you know, you gotta have faith in yourself, Hawaiians, okay? Have faith in yourself. Go out there and get it. Till next time, I'm Junior Kekuewa Jr. saying mahalo and aloha.